Hey, this is Anthony Cesari with SuccessForYourSongs.com, and in this video we're going to talk about 3 things to know for writing captivating melodies. Writing a great melody is probably the most important part of writing a song people will love, because the melody is the part people get stuck in their heads. So with that in mind, we'll look at 3 concepts that are good to know when you're planning out your next melodic masterpiece. So the first one is the melodic hook. The melodic hook is an important part of contemporary songwriting because it's the catchiest piece of your song's melody. So it's going to be the portion of your song's melody that your listeners will be singing after the song's over. It's the part that keeps them coming back for more. In songs with a chorus, the melodic hook is likely to happen in the chorus, and in songs without a chorus, like an AA-BA song structure, the melodic hook is likely to be the refrain, which usually occurs at the beginning or end of each verse and also usually contains the title of the song. So, for example, the melody that happens on the words "Come on, baby, light my fire" in the song "Light My Fire" by The Doors is a good example of a melodic hook. It's that chunk of melody that tends to be the one that sticks in your head, and in this case, it also happens to be the chorus of the song, which is fairly typical. Memorability in a melody is important. So if your listeners remember your song's melody, then they'll want to hear it again. And if it's too complicated, they won't remember it, and they won't even be they won't even be capable of wanting to hear it again. So the best melodies are kept simple because simple is memorable. And in addition to being simple, the best melodies usually have a unique aspect to them that makes people want to hear them again. So the next thing is melodic motifs. A motif is a phrase that's repeated throughout your song. It helps to shape the sound of your song. It's basically what makes the song or the melody memorable and contributes to a good hook. So a motif is not just a line of melody that's repeated over and over again as is, but it's usually one that's or a line of melody that's repeated and slightly modified, because that makes for a melody that's both memorable and not overly repetitious. Like I said, the best melodies are kept simple so they're singable, and the main ingredient of melodic simplicity is repetition. The key is to be repetitious without being overly repetitious. So that's where the idea of a melodic motif comes from. A motif may repeat itself exactly for 3 phrases, and then the last note will be different on the 4th phrase, or maybe a motif may be repeated twice, but then the next 2 times it has less notes than it did the first 2 times. In both of those cases, the motif is creating repetition without being overly redundant. There's a slight change that makes the melody interesting as it moves along. And it's important to note that your song won't be based on a single motif, but a couple of them. You might have 2 different motifs that appear in your verses, and then a third that happens in your chorus. A good rule of thumb to stick to is not to have more than 2 melodic motifs in each section of your song. That'll help keep it memorable without it getting too complicated. But of course, when you get more familiar with this idea of motifs, you can play with that and see what works best for your music. And then the last thing is to be melody minded. Always keep an open ear for potential melodies. You can convert the vocal inflections of someone's voice to a melody. You can hear the pitches and rhythms of cars passing you by as you walk on the street and use that as a start for your melody. Even the consistency of a zipper banging against your jacket as you run can be the basis of a new melody's rhythm. It's all about pitches and rhythms, which are the 2 components of a melody. So if you find combinations of pitches and rhythms that work, there's no reason you can't use them as the start to your song's melody. Even a couple of notes in the middle of somebody else's melody can be the starting point for an original melody of your own. Singing along with songs you love is a great way to start finding new melodies. You can sing along with a song, then turn the song off and riff on that song's melody while changing it to come up with something completely new. Melodies are copyrightable, so make sure you change it enough so that it's completely your own and ends up sounding nothing like the original. That's really important. And when you're listening to another melody you love, pick apart what you love about it and then exploit those features in a melody of your own. So, for example, was it a quick, choppy rhythm that you liked? Did it have a really cool spread in its vocal range? Think about those things, and then you can apply those same concepts to your melodies. And another good trick for coming up with melodies is to try developing them without the lyrics first. It'll help you focus on the melody itself. So even if you already have lyrics written, doing this will be a much purer way of writing a melody, and it'll be easier to tell if this is that great melody you've been dreaming of for your song. So now that you're aware of these three basic melody writing concepts, just keep them in mind next time you're writing a melody so that you can be writing something your fans will be excited about, because melody writing can be a lot of fun. So just enjoy the process as you organize your notes into catchy melodies. Now, if you're looking for a lot more ideas for creating effective melodies, I've included a link for a melody writing resource for you below this video, and also a bunch of other topics in regard to writing effective melodies that your listeners will really gravitate to. Click that link below this video so you can check that out. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Take care.